Just want to have a quick thing at Levett Consultancy. We are sort of digital transformation specialists, and we specialize in actually helping organizations basically move from traditional IT systems like Windows and Windows desktops and servers to basically cloud-specific platforms, be that centralized around Google Workspace. But we also specialize in integrating Google Workspace with basically Windows technology, so your same username, password, things follows across both systems. We take a consultative approach working with all of our customers, where we work with you on understanding what your objectives are and where you can actually get to with those objectives and what technology you need to support those objectives. So it's a simple thing of making sure you've got the right infrastructure in place, like your broadband, your switching, your wireless and stuff like that, through to making sure you have the right security and making sure you've got everything ready to actually move towards a Google Cloud Workspace environment. And then from there, basically make sure you've got the right devices and things to use with that technology environment. And the final thing we always make sure, which is the most important thing, what loads of people forget about, is that we also specialize in actually training your end users to get the best out of those sort of cloud products and things, and then finally provide basically support around that, whether that's your own IT teams or directly to yourselves if you can't afford IT teams as well. We always specialize in just giving you enterprise, Google and Microsoft level support directly to the people in your organization who need that. That's a quick snapshot of what we do at Levett Consultancy, where we like to be your partner for your Google Cloud sort of journey. That we've got Stephen Hazel, who's our head of customer relationship team, who will go through the latest offerings in Google Gemini, so you can actually see the latest things in AI and how that's actually working. Also importantly, Stephen will take you on a little run through actually how he uses those technologies during his day-to-day work within our organisation, and hopefully you might get some ideas what you might be able to take to your organisation. And then finally, from that, means our aim is to have our in-person event where you'll be able to actually have a proper hands-on play with this sort of technology and see us sort of in person and things with that. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Stephen Hazel, head of customer relationships, to crack on with basically how he uses Google in the workplace.
Okay, thanks, Paul. I'd like to start today by looking at a couple of the Google apps that we use internally that are out there for everybody to use. And the first one is Gemini AI, which I'm sure you've probably heard of. Gemini is a multi-model AI model. It's capable of understanding and generating text, images, audio, and code. And it's designed to be flexible, so it can be run from various devices, all the way from data centers down to your mobile devices and everything in between that. So the question I'm just going to ask you, see on the screen I've got here, is why a business should move to Google Workspace. So we start with that, and what we'll do is let Google go away and start to research. And the really neat thing about this is that it actually starts to think about it, and then it shows you its thinking as well about what it's doing. So it'll give you a plan before it actually goes away and does the report itself. So we'll give it a chance to just come up with its plan. I said it takes a few seconds to do, but it's not too long. So here we go. So it says it's put together a research plan, and if you need to update it in any way, let me know. So you can see that it's planning on researching the advantages and value propositions of Google Workspace for Business. It's going to focus on the core suite applications, so Gmail, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Meet, and Calendar. It's going to investigate how Google Workspace enhances team collaboration and productivity, and it's going to analyze the cost effectiveness of Google Workspace, including its various subscription plans. Now, one thing you might notice there is in that text, and also in the text below where it says analyze results, it's using Z, so it's using American spelling. This is quite easy to change. It's something that, hopefully further down the line you'll be able to do as default, but for now you can just ask it to create the report using UK English. So again, that's what I'm going to add to it. So again, it will go away for a few seconds, think about that before it creates the report. But if there's anything else at this stage you wanted to change, you wanted to specifically ask for a particular topic to be covered or to remove something, this is your chance to do that. And so even when it's completed, you can go and chop and change it, but it gives you a chance to see what it's planning on doing before it actually creates the report. So just give it a couple of seconds now, and that will be created. Okay, so you can see that's updated the list. Again, I've got the opportunity to change it if I wanted to, but for now I'm happy with that. So I'm going to set it off starting the research. And so what you'll see now is when it starts the research, it will start to tell you, show you its thinking up here. So it will start to tell you what it's looking at. I'll let you go and do that, but just like Blue Peter, here's one I created earlier. So this is the report that it created for me a little while ago. Same thing, same topic, looking at using Google in UK businesses. And you can see it's quite a detailed report. Starts off by introducing what Google Workspace is, talks about the core benefits, collaboration, productivity, etc. It goes to quite a lot of detail here. Talks about all the actual different applications. Then it goes and looks at the prices, the advantages, the costs. And what it does at the bottom here is it gives you a breakdown of all the places, all the sources it used for this report. So you can see a lot of them were there from Google itself, the websites, but it's used quite a number of resources here. It also read some resources, but it didn't actually use them. So you can see which other resources it was looking at, but didn't actually use in the final report. And the thoughts at the end there, what it began its research looking, what it focused on initially, and the next steps and the research it used. Now, with this report, you can do a number of things with it then. You can export it to docs and create a document out of it. You can also generate an audio review of it. And we're going to look at that similar thing we does with Notebook LM in a second. But you can create, an audio one, which again, you can share with people. So if we just look here at, this is the Google Doc version it created. So once I've got it as a doc now, I have the ability to share it with anybody I like to in my company. I can share it externally if I'm able to do that. It's restricted here, so they keep it inside the company, and then they can edit that document, look at it, and give me feedback on it. So it's a really powerful tool there, being able to create from using the whole of the internet to grab the resources to create reports quite quickly. Second tool I'm going to look at is Notebook LM. So if we just have a look at this here. So Notebook LM is like a virtual research assistant. It can summarize facts, it can explain complex ideas, it can brainstorm, create new connections, and it's all based on the sources that you feed it. So as you can see from the initial screen here, you can upload sources, you can choose a file if you've got one saved already, just drag and drop it in there. It can be a PDF, it can be a text file, it can be a markdown file, an audio file. There's lots of different formats. You have it in Google Drive, either a Google Doc or a Google Slide, you can grab those. You can add a link just directly from a website or from a YouTube, or you could just copy and paste text if you have that. You can have up to a maximum of 50 sources per notebook you create, which is quite a lot in itself. And each of those can be 500,000 words long. So you can put a ton of information into this for it to actually create this report on. If you're a Notebook Plus user, and that's what I'm using here, you can actually have up to 300 sources per notebook, which is a phenomenal amount of information that you can feed it. And obviously, the more you feed it, the longer it will take, but it will also have more detail. So what I'm going to show you now is an example that we have already created. So what we did, we actually used our own operations manual. So we fed that into the system, and you can see on the left-hand side here, we created that and also our employee handbook. And it went away, it created some chat about it. You can ask questions at this point here. So in the chat section, you can ask the question. For example, here, how does Levett Consultancy structure its operation and manage customers' interactions across teams? Again, it's looking at all the resources it had in there, and it will come up with a summary. And that summary then can be saved as a chat. And you can ask it any number of questions based on that. So while it's doing that, to show you the third thing that it can do, which is it can create a podcast. So a virtual podcast based on the sources you have fed it. So the podcast is here. I'll start to play a little bit of it now.
All right, so today we're kind of switching things up a bit. We're ditching the usual tech headlines and doing a deep dive into a real company, Levett Consultancy. And get this, we've got their whole operations manual. It's like having a backstage pass to how they actually make it all work.
Yeah. It really gives you this fascinating look at a company that's all about keeping technology simple, like how they actually, walk the walk. And it's really more than just.
Okay, let's pause it there for a sec. So you can see it's created nearly an hour-long podcast based on that. As I said, we've listened, we're not going to listen to all of it now, but we've obviously listened through it ourselves. And it's really interesting because it sounds, you can say it's really realistic, like two people having a conversation. It will analyze it, it will find, strengths and weaknesses. You can ask it questions, which is a new feature now. So I'll test this, see if it's working. So you can see there's an interactive mode here I've highlighted. It's in beta mode at the moment, so it can be a bit temperamental. But it will start playing, and when there's a bit you want to interact or ask a question about, you can click the join button, ask a question, and then it will respond to that question based on the information it has. So let's see if this works.
All right, so today we're kind of switching things up a bit. We're ditching the usual tech headlines and doing a deep dive into a real company, Levett Consultancy. And get this, we've got, oh, hey there, how can we help?
Hi, can you tell me what is the strength of this operation manual?
That's a great question. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here is the level of detail
Right. I mean, it covers everything from answering the phone.
to the process for loaning out company equipment,
Exactly. It leaves very little to interpretation.
which contributes to consistency across the entire organization.
Think about it. Everyone's on.
So you can see it's quite good at actually, taking the question, using obviously the information it's already picked up and giving you an answer. And like I said, you can ask for, criticisms as well, and it will do the same. So it's really good. But you can do this in with your companies where you've got internal policies of documents or things you use. You can put it through this, and you can get that to create, feedback for yourself, which you might not have thought of before. It's an interesting concept, and it's quite new, still developing. It's something definitely worth having more of a deeper look at. Another point.
Is it possible to look at the mind map, Steve? What a mind map of this will look like?
Yeah, sure. So one of the other things you can do with the chat section is you can create a mind map. So let's click on the mind map here, and you can see it's generating over in the studio. So just got to wait for that to complete. So the other thing that you can create here is the note. So when I asked that question earlier on, about how does it structure its operations, you can see that's broken it down. And it says, there's 4 structures to it. There's executive board, the customer advisory board, there's customer success team, customer relationship team, project management office, operations team. So it's broken all the sections down, and it gives you actually then bullet points of where, more detailed of where it got that from. So you can see that the mind map is now ready. So if we open the mind map up, so this is obviously the start of the mind map here, the Levett Consultancy Operation Manual. We go across here, for example, with the teams. If you open the teams out, it splits out into the customer success team and the operations team. Again, if there's another arrow, you can split that out further again. Now you can see it's gone to managed by the head of customer relationships, then the customer relationships team itself, and the project management office. And again, these can again be split out, and you can keep going on. You see this mind map is growing and growing. If there's one specific thing you want to focus on, for example, we go back here, maybe focus on overall teams. If you click on that, what it will do is we'll go back into the chat section and referring to that specific part you've clicked, it will go through all the sources again and create a note for you based just on that particular part. So it's very good at, you've got the ability here to have a detailed overview, but also jump in and out of parts of the operation manual we've got here and specifically concentrate on that. So there might be certain sections that you want to focus on. And you can do that by clicking out. So as I said, it's really useful. Obviously, these mind maps here can be downloaded, be shared with people as well, and so can the notes. So it's a really useful, powerful tool. And as I said, I think it's only going to get more useful and powerful as people get to use it.
That's great. So this Notebook LM, without the plus version on here, this is free. Anyone can get access to this, as long as you've got a Google Workspace account. But the plus version is a paid edition as part of the Gemini suite.
Yeah, that's correct. So anyone can go and search now for a Notebook LM, and you'll be able to access it. As I said, you'll be restricted to having 50 sources, still 500,000 words in that. If you have the plus version, you can go all the way up to 300 sources per notebook. So there's a few more features in the paid version. But if you have a business Google a license, then you'll be able to get this as part of the package, and it'll be there for you to use. Okay, looking now at the sort of everyday, what is Google Workspace? So just a quick overview here of all the things that are included. So if you have a subscription to Google Workspace, you get all of these included in it. So you've got your Gmail, which is your customer business email. You've got your Drive, which is where all your data is stored in the cloud. You've got your Meet, which is what we're currently on now. So having a Google Meet session. Again, don't have to have a Google account for this. As long as you've got internet access, you just click on the link, it'll open up in a browser. So it's doesn't matter what you're on. If you're on a Mac, Windows machine, Google device, you can join a Meet from anywhere on any device. You've got your calendar, which again allows you to manage your day and share calendars with people, see what people are up to, and link the calendars up. You have a chat function, which again is good for sort of informal messages amongst the teams. Also, because there's other things in chat that we'll look at in a second, a bit more detail. We've obviously already touched on what Gemini can do. Then you've got your sort of core suite there of docs, sheets, and slides, which is the equivalent of your Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint. Compatibility is there with Microsoft. It's not like you have to get rid of everything you've got. If you're thinking about moving to Google from Microsoft, it's not a problem. All the stuff you've got, you can bring into Google. You can use it in slides. You can use it in sheets and docs, just as you would. And it's not like you have to make a choice between one or the other. Both systems work with each other. It's quite easily to have both systems working at the same time. Google Vids is another new feature. It's in the same way where we were using LM to create research and documents. Vids can do the same with sources and create a new video. Just a few little clips, so you can put some information in. Google will generate, based on what you've asked it to do, a video based on that. All the video is copyright free, so it's not like you're going to use anything that's going to infringe on copyrights. And you can also add your own information to it, so you can add your own company logos, etc. There's an editing suite there, quite a simple one, but it allows again to create quite quickly quite simple videos. So we might get to do that in our in-person meeting, what we have later in the year.
Can you upload your own videos as well? Like AI
so if you've got any videos already created, then that's the idea. You can import them. That's what I would probably suggest you would do. You can import some raw footage anyway. And then what Google Vids would do was clip that together, put some other screens together, and then you still got the power then to go and edit, to take things out, to add things, to put soundtracks on it, etc., commentaries. So it's from quite a simple tool. It's quite a powerful one. You can create very quick videos that you can upload onto YouTube channels, onto your social media, etc. Just for a few clicks, you can create videos very quickly. Keep is your digital notes, and again, I'll look at that in a second, where I sort of use that on a day-to-day basis. We've already talked about Sites is for building websites and team projects. Forms is a very good tool. It creates a form for you to send out to people to use. It can be quite a simple form, just basic information, sort of names, emails, telephone numbers, etc. Or it can be quite a detailed one. And we use these daily in our work, where if we have a new customer, they will have a new customer form where they'll be getting quite basic information required, the name of their company, their address, their telephone number, who the main contacts are, etc. But if we're maybe going to be doing a project, like I said, Google deployment, we need to know a lot more information, and the form's a lot more detailed, a lot longer. The form can be, multiple choice. It can be blank, where they just fill in the details, or it can be specific questions you ask. It's really quite easy to structure the form. We don't need, it's not like you need to be able to be a great coder or anything. All the structure's there. It's quite easy. You can put pictures in as well. You can put videos in there if you need to. As I say, a lot of schools use these now to create actual quizzes for students, because it's self-marking as well. You can actually get the form to mark the information you get back. You can even use it for testing. So it's quite a powerful tool, quite useful.
Do you use this in your sort of like day-to-day forms as well?
So like I said, we use it pretty much every day, where we send it out to get customer information, to get data information from customers. Say we're doing a migration, we need to get the information of where the information is stored. We need to get how much data is going to be moved. So we use it on a daily basis to get information. And then when the customer completes it, you'll get a notification in your email that there's been a form completed. You'll open up that form, and all the customers have filled that form in. It'll be saved there on a sheet, and you'll be able to go through it, pick out the information you need and transfer that, and do what you need to do with it. But it's a simple tool to use, but a very powerful tool. And so we've already mentioned Notebook, LM as well. We've already covered that. So when I come in to start the day, what I normally do is I open my emails, as most people probably do.
Just one thing, obviously, the app sheets on there and things. I think you don't use app sheets in your day-to-day.
I don't use it in my day-to-day, no.
Which is just like just the macros of what people used to use in Microsoft, but just automating tasks. Right. You don't really use that sort of stuff.
No, it's not. Yeah, not. not one I use, but I'd say the majority of these actually do get used pretty much day to day.
So accountancy firms probably use macros for doing complex calculations on a repetitive basis, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So app sheets will help accountancy firms or anyone who's doing repetitive tasks all the time, wouldn't it, to be fair?
Sure.
And that's part of our Google suite as well, yeah? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. All that's included. So if you have a Google license, all of that is included as part of it. It's not like you have to pay for individual components. It's all bundled together under that one license you get. So as I said, on my Mal, which I've got here, so from this panel, I can do a lot of my work because I've got my Gmail there, and it's split into sort of my 5 boxes: my primary, my promotional, social, updates, and forums. You can teach that. So if there's things coming in that you want to go in your primary from certain people, and you're going to need to say maybe your updates or your forums, you just drag it in there. Google learns that actually most of these people need to go to this folder, and they'll go to the correct folder when you get the next one sent in. So they can be quite well organized already without having to have many folders, which you can still create. And you've got labels over the side here, so you can put things into labels. The thing I was talking about was notes. So that's you see here on my right-hand side of my panel. But this, as I said, is like a digital notebook. It gives me what I do in my day-to-day tasks. You can see my tasks to complete here. I have my tasks from the other day. So you can have your task here. You can pin ones at the top that are more important. You can color code them as well, and you can share these as well with people. So you can share your notes just like you can with other files in Google with the team.
I think with those keep notes, you can also set them up as location based as well. So if you walk into an organisation or wherever you're going, if you've got location based up, it pops up saying, "Oh, you need to do this day," based on location rather than just normal time and day.
Yeah, that's a good point, because so if you are kind of working around various sites, and obviously our engineers do that quite a lot, but a lot of people I'm speaking to today, they might be office based a couple of days a week and then traveling around to visit customers. If you've got specific tasks that need to be done when you go to visit a specific customer, when you reach the location, as Paul said, it will pop up in your tasks and it will remind you, these is what you need to do, or this information you need to cover while you're on this site. So it's a really useful tool, again, simple but powerful. So apart from my mail, I also have chat over here. So chat allows me to send direct messages to anyone who's in my team now. Spaces, and Spaces breaks it down to, again, a group of people within a team. So for example, I have my team here, which is the customer relationship team. 3 sections to that. You've got your chat, which is, again, talking directly to someone. You can send it to multiple people if you want, or you can keep it on an individual basis. You have files that have been shared. So we have some files here. There's some videos been shared, some sheets, an Excel sheet. There's some links to some stuff here, and there's some media as well. So it breaks it down into, you can view all of the media, links, and files that have been shared amongst your team there. And also a really useful one is called tasks. So you've got tasks that you can create for your team. You can assign it to an individual. You can tell them when the date is due, and also what the task obviously is. So you can see the completed task have been ticked off here. There's a couple of tasks coming up. We've got a MMKO, which is our Monday morning kickoff meeting. So that agenda needs creating for Monday. That's tasked to Albert. And then I've got to follow up on the event that we're having today. I'm doing that tomorrow, and that's assigned to me. So again, once the task is complete, you can tick it off here on the list, and it will still be visible to people. They see it's been done. You've got your task list there. So just in this one panel here, I've got my mail, I've got my notes, and I've got my tasks, and I can just easily go between them and share all this as well with people. So the good thing about it is very collaborative. Any of my tasks and my notes can be shared with people, so they know that maybe they need to have some input on it as well. Okay, one of the other things we talked about in terms of one of the applications is Drive. Drive is obviously everything stored in the cloud, so I can locate it, I can access it from anywhere, anytime, and any type of device. So I have my own personal drive here, which is my drive. So all of these files in here are my files. And unless I choose to share them with anyone, they belong to me and can only be seen by me. But at the same time, again, one of the nice collaborative features is you can share things. So I have files that have been shared with me. So other people have shared these files with me, which are going to load up now. So you can see I've got some files here. Some are videos, some are sheets, some are docs. Depending on what the people want me to do with these, I might only be a viewer. I only can view these files and give feedback. I might be an editor where I can actually edit the files and make changes, and they might want me to collaborate on that. You collaborate in real time on there. You'll see the other person typing. You'll see, they have a different color cursor, and you can have, multiple people collaborating on one document at the same time. However, if you've got like a master document that you want people's feedback on, but not to make changes, you can obviously share it with just viewing rights, and they can give you feedback on the document and say, oh, maybe you want to add this or take this away, but they don't actually change that document. So that's quite a useful part of the tool as well. And then you also have them in Drive, shared drives itself. So these, again, can be depending on which part of the company you're in and what you have access to. So, for example, here, my team, the customer relationship team, will have access to this folder where we have our meetings folders, our planning, our resources, surveys, and sales folders. And this will be the whole team will have access to this, be able to share, put information in there. If I go back and have a look, for example, the senior management team will only be available to obviously the senior management. So depending on your position and what you've given access rights to the admin console, you'll see different folders here. But the nice thing about it is that you've got an ability to collaborate between different groups of people across your company, and also depending on how you want to set it up, you can collaborate with people in other organizations and have shared folders here. For example, here, this Partner Advantage B folder is actually a Google folder that's shared via Google, and it has partner information in there that we can use for our resources. So it's actually, run and controlled by Google, but we have access to it within our shared drives folder.
So Steve, if I had like a server system, like normal Windows network system, and I've got my network drives and everything on there, I can actually replicate those network drives on here.
Yeah, exactly.
But the bonus of literally anyone, anywhere in my organisation can access that. I'm not coming to work just for using Windows, so they can just access it anywhere.
No, and that's the advantage. That's the key bit. Yeah, so like Paul said, you can still replicate your files and your structures on Google Drive, but where if it's on a server and you have to go on site to access a server, or you're trying to use remote systems and they're not always the best, and the server's down, you can't get access to it. With this, wherever you are, whether it's on a mobile device, on a laptop, on a desktop, on a MacBook, on a Windows, you can log into Google, log into your account, log into your drive, and all of the files are available for you to use anywhere. And so that's really a really key important feature. It's something that I love about Google is that I don't have to be in the office on my device to get my files. I can get them wherever I need to.
So is that like Google Workspace is like device agnostic? It doesn't matter what device.
100%. Yeah, it's as long as you've got internet access in terms of logging into your account, and even then you don't even have that. You can work offline as well. So if you've got access to that, your files, you can get your files downloaded, and you can work on things offline. And when you get back online, it will upload the latest updates to it. So it's not like it can't be done in remote places. You can still get access to your work.
I noticed you're using a Chromebook of things. How does that sort of differ from an experience if you went to a Windows machine?
So in terms of using it within Chrome, obviously, the advantage of it is it boots up a lot quicker within like 8 seconds. I'm not going to have issues with blue screen, which I know when I used Windows device I did. The updates happen in the background. So when the updates are ready, you'll get a little notification at the bottom of the screen on the right. So the update's ready and it will do a restart. But when you want to, you don't have to do it straight away. You can do it in the time that's convenient for you. I said in terms of the experience of what you view, it can be similar. So you could get the same experience once you've logged into a Windows machine, because once you open Chrome and have the browser, it will look at a similar experience. So it's not like you can't use this on, like we said, Windows or Macs. But using a Chrome device, which is designed for, is a lot easier. It's a lot safer as well, because you've got a less chance of being hacked on a Chrome device than you would have on a Windows device.
So you're basically saying if I had the Chrome device or Windows machine, I get the same experience across all the platforms.
Exactly that.
Chrome device is a little bit more, got built-in antivirus and all that sort of stuff, and things are malware, so you haven't got to go and buy extra licenses for software and things to manage your environment.
And the good thing is that when you shut down and log in, anyone can use this. So anyone's got an account. If you log in then with your work account, it will be your work settings on this machine, and it will have restrictions that you've got there. If you logged in with your personal account, your personal Google account, it'll be different. You might have access to, for example, YouTube might be blocked at work, but it wouldn't be on your personal one. So it allows different users to use the same device without having the restrictions of everyone's tied to the same level of security on that, which is a really nice feature as well on Google machine.
Thanks, Steve, for basically giving us a quick overview of basically how you use some latest stuff in Gemini AI along with Google Workspace. I would also like to test as a business. We use Google Workspace across all of our business, so all of our staff all use either Windows machines, Chromebooks, Apple Macs, and they have the same experience by using the Google Workspace sort of platform with the same username and login, so the same security things just follows us sort of anywhere.